Not only were you one of our Internationalists of the Year this year, but you're also going to help us navigate this very changing world of media and so on today, or so we hope. But one of the things that I thought we might start with is just how do you wind up making sense of all this when you have so many brands at Mars?
Yep.
And when you have to figure out so many new angles to media transparency and some of the issues that you're working with?
Absolutely, absolutely. It's an interesting challenge because we've got four pretty distinct businesses. We've got pet care, we've got chocolate, we've got Wrigley and confectionery, and then we also have food. Each of them kind of face their own distinct category dynamics within packaged goods, but again, at the end of the day, it's packaged goods, but we're dealing with robust, market-based challenges. So, the U.S. versus all the way to Southeast Asia and China and in Australia. So each market actually has its own sort of curveballs. But I think the biggest thing that we've got to face into as sort of leaders within media is really being able to embrace the idea of, bringing critical thinking to everyday problems, and that's making sure that we don't sort of shut things down and that we're actually open to solutions and problem solving at each step of a campaign. So it has to do with how do we look at briefs, how do we manage client and agency relationships, how do we manage, existential or even sort of industry challenging.
I love the existential part, though.
Yeah, I mean, things like transparency are potentially, and rebates and the way that agencies are compensated, it's potentially existential because if clients and agencies beat up on each other too much, then that's actually going to be a bad thing. One of the things that we have as a principle at Mars is this idea of mutuality. We like to think of mutuality as being, fair to consumers, customers, as well as suppliers and partners. Extends to the way that we look at agencies. So, a lot of these things that have come up out of the ANA and the broader work streams there around transparency, fraud, and programmatic. I think they're all interconnected in the sense of, are we compensating agencies fairly? Are the asks of them right? Are we being good clients?
You've actually had the agency background as well,
yes.
So you can probably better empathize.
Yeah.
But so talk about some of those things that you want to do better. And I'm really curious about things like transformation.
Absolutely. So some of the things that we talk about being better at is one, better investors. And this, all of these things actually go back to our 5 principles at Mars. So responsibility, efficiency, mutuality, quality, and freedom. The 5 principles actually provide a really great framework for us. And what we've netted out to is really about being better investors because we are investing the family's money, the Mars family money, in terms of driving demand for our brands in the marketplace. So, we want to be better investors. So what does that mean? That means about making sure that the value chain doesn't have these pitfalls in terms of fraud and bots and all of these negative things that actually come up. Being a better client. So being able to understand that, hey, look, an agency is going to go out and look for additional revenue if we're squeezing them too much on the on the top line, and being able to say, like, no, you're going to have a zero-based cost fee with us, which is not necessarily the right way to go into a relationship. So
it starts adversarially.
What you don't want to do is have an environment of mistrust from day one at the signing of a contract. You actually want to be able to say, look, we are going to build our business and our brands together, and this is about being a great partner. And you can't necessarily get off on the right foot if you have that baggage already at zero, which is great because my co-pilot in commercial, also known as procurement, and other areas, tends to think the same way.
You're lucky. You're very lucky.
Which is we're very lucky in that respect because what we are looking to do is partner with agencies that want to build the business and the expertise in media and communications the right way, and that's really what we're proud of.